No, that's it. I like it over there better. Hey, Sue, did you let the kids know about January? About York?
13th to the 23rd.
So we're going around the 13th?
We're going on the 13th.
On the 13th?
And we'll come back on the 23rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody will be home. Nobody's traveling. Nobody's going anywhere.
No, Nick's going away in February.
Okay.
But so are we. So.
Good.
And that's it.
Good. Yeah, York swap meet.
Good.
Very good. I'm looking forward to that. Seeing Bill Nazarod, Mike Slayton, all those guys. And
Nazarod's event's on the 20th.
it's on. No, his event really is the swap meet. That's on the 21st. The night before is the Potomac Vintage Riders
So it's 20
year-end banquet, 2021. And there was something else I wanted to tell you too.
Is Vasella going with you?
Yeah, I think Vassallo is going to go. Then he's got to go for a surgery the week after that.
Right.
He'll be fine.
Okay. Something else you want to tell me?
No, there was something else. Something about
the trivia.
Yeah, you know the answer to the trivia? Yeah. And a random share giveaway winner. But that you do randomly. Hence the name. Random share giveaway.
Not even a random share. It's just a.
Yes, it is.
No. For you, it is. All right, we're good.
All right, we're good. And
All right, expansion.
there was
chamber.
something else.
You got your expansion chamber?
My who?
Expansion chamber tape?
I don't know if I'm doing any expansion chambers. It's been so long, I don't know.
You're live.
Right.
Felix is probably going to be driving.
All right.
You're live.
Hey, Jordan? Jordan?
Yep, you're live.
You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. On tonight's show, in the next time try this segment, we'll take a look at caps, dies, and chasers. You'll find out what the difference is between all those. In the Moto Showcase, a 1974 Kawasaki KX125. Here's the problem. We only got one question tonight, but it's pretty good. Very entertaining. I think. What's it worth? A Kawasaki KX500. This bike is pristine. I can't wait to show it to you. We've got that. Trivia returns tonight. We're going to be giving away a book by Keith Geisner. Discovering 6 days. We've got that, and we've got a whole lot more coming up on Vintage Motocross Q&A. Good evening, everyone. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A live. I am your host, Joe Abadi. Thank you, Jordan, Chelsea, and Susie for helping me put the show together. And Felix is on the production staff now, too. So I want to thank Felix as well. Thank you, the viewers at home who have joined me tonight. If you're watching the show, please share it, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. If you are on YouTube and you're watching it, please comment Motion Pro. In fact, I'd like to encourage everyone tonight to mention all of our sponsors' name in your comments, along with where you live, where you're watching the show from. Let's really get some comments going tonight. We're going to have trivia. We're going to have a lot of fun stuff. So don't forget, keep sharing the show and our YouTube channel. YouTube channel is going pretty well. All the shows, all the interviews that I brought you over the years, they're all there on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe, because when you do, you'll get a little alert just like this. Tells you when we're live on YouTube. A great way to watch the show, the best way to watch the show, is on your big screen TV while you comment through your phone. Comment through your phone, watch the show on your big screen TV. It's a great way to enjoy Vintage Motocross Q&A. As always, I want to thank our sponsors, Motion Pro, VINTCO, Preston Petty Products, Racer X, Full Circle Racing, the International Motocross Museum, and a special thanks to two people, Mike Chamberlain and George Ackerman. They are show supporters. What is a show supporter? Call me and find out. Drop me a note. It's not that expensive. You get some nice publicity, some good plugs for your show or your whatever it might be. It might be the Motor Museum. It might be a real estate agency. Whatever it might be, get a hold of me and I'll tell you about becoming a supporter of the show. Tonight, I want to talk to you about chasers, threads, taps, chasers, where you should use them on your bike when it comes to either internal threads or on a bolt. Let's get a closer look and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. To begin with, let's get a look at what a rethreading set looks like. And it looks just like this. This is a 42-piece set, and it comes in National Coarse and National Fine, which is on this side. And for our application, or most of us here watching the show, we would be interested more in the metric side. These taps and dies, or chasers actually, they're not taps or dies, they come from 6mm up to 12mm in this set. But let's get a closer look and I can show you the difference between what I'm talking about between a chaser and a die or a tap. Now, on the right here is a tap. You could see that the teeth look pretty aggressive. This is used when cutting threads in a new piece of steel or aluminum. This is your chaser. You could see it looks a lot less aggressive, although it does have some grooves cut in it just like that, and that is what's going to clean up the internal threads or external threads if it's on a bolt when you go to clean up a piece that may be damaged, maybe like this 10mm shock bolt here. It's got a couple little grooves on it, little scratches on it, and you want to clean those up. So you would take your chaser like this, and whether you have it in a wrench or you have it wherever you need it, you're going to run that over it, and it's going to clean out all the grooves that are in the bolt and all the high spots and make that thread nice and sharp again on that bolt. If you were to use a die like this and go over this bolt, it's going to cut deeper, and the nut that you go to put on there, or if you go to thread it into the frame of your bike, it's not going to fit the same. It's going to be a little loose when you put it in the hole, or it's going to be too small when you go to put your bolt on there. So that's why you want to chase it. You don't want to tap it, okay? Now, let's go over to the frame and I'll show you where else this can apply to. Looking on this side of the shock mount, you could see where the frame did have a rubber plug put into the shock bolt. But if you go to this side, you'll see where you could see some rust inside that bolt hole from the other side. I'm going to show you how you can remedy that right now. The hole is right here, and if we go to take our 10mm bolt and go to put it in there, it goes in just a couple of threads, but because of the rust, it starts to tighten up, and it's not that easy to get in. So what I like to do is take a little lubricant like this, spray it in that hole, then take my chaser, which I showed you a little bit earlier, looks just like this, and begin to start it in that hole. And then as it gets a little bit tighter, if I have to, I put a wrench on it and give it a couple of turns, go back and forth, and it's going to clean up that thread without doing any further damage to it. It's going to take the rust out. It's going to take off any scaling that might be in there. It's going to take off any paint or anything that may have gotten in that thread when the frame was being refinished. I can now take the bolt that I have, and I'm doing it from this side just for this application so you can see it a lot better. And you can see that just with my fingers, I'm able to tighten that bolt just about all the way through. So remember, you don't want to use a tap. You want to use a chaser when the thread is good, but just has some scaling in it or maybe has some rust. Use a chaser, don't use a tap. VINTCO, this week's special at VINTCO is starting at $695. That's for their air shocks. They do have some other specials coming up too. I'm going to have a new one for you every week. Jordan if we can, I want to go full screen because in the beginning of the show, we were talking about the trivia contest and our random share giveaway. I don't know if during that I mentioned that our random share giveaway this week will be this beautiful collector's item. This is from the Trailblazers from last year, where Johnny Campbell, Scott Harden, Brad Lackey, Bruce Penhall, they were all inducted into the Trailblazers Hall of Fame last year. I don't have any stickers this week, compliments of our very generous sponsor, VINTCO, but I do have this, and it's actually it actually belongs to me. This is something I got from last year at Trailblazers, but you people are loyal followers, and I'm going to give that away tonight. So keep sharing the show. Somebody's going to win a Trailblazers Memorial, what are they called? Program. Been a while. Next, Jordan, what do we got? The Moto Showcase, one of my favorite segments of the show. This is brought to you by Preston Petty Products. Tonight's Moto Showcase was sent in to us by Ed Matt Erdos. That's Ed Matt Erdos, not Ed and Matt, but that may have been my fault. 1974 Kawasaki KX125. This bike is original. Jordan's going to go through the slides. I'll tell you more about the bike. Ed says, I just drove 10 hours round trip to pick up this bike. It was listed on Craigslist as a 1974 Kawasaki 125. Since the topic of original is so often discussed on your show, I thought I would run this by you for a bit of a critique. I believe it is to be all original. It is a 74 KX 125. Joe, since you restored one of these, I'm really interested in what you think. The only thing that is missing is the rubber strap from behind the front number plate. I know that the bike was serviced and the carburetor was cleaned. It has a new cover on the gasket of the carburetor. And yeah, that was put on, but that's all it was. It starts on the second kick and it runs like new. The guy I bought it from his friend who never raced it. It pretty much sat since it was new. He was very meticulous when it came to keeping the bike in a clean environment. It is undamaged. It also came with the original toolkit. I think I have a picture of it here too. It's got the original toolkit on it. And I am also wondering if I should leave it alone or do some cosmetic restoration. I paid $1,750 for it. What do you think the bike is worth and the overall condition? Matt, read my lips. Do not restore the bike. Leave it the way it is. They're only original once you got the toolkit. And I noticed that the bike is on the original tires too. Some other things of interest that I see are those little zip tie straps that are on the handlebars that hold the kill button switch. The fenders, the mud flaps, the pipe is in exceptional condition for a bike that is going on, it is 50 years old actually. And I would not restore it. I wouldn't change any of the finishes on it. Go over it with some wax, maybe some compound. Don't change any of the surfaces, any of the finishes. $1,795, I think in original condition like that, quickly, you'd sell it quickly for $3,000 to a collector, maybe more. Maybe more. Matt, I want to thank you for sending that bike in and get me your address. I'll get you some kind of nice gift, compliments of one of our sponsors, maybe VINTCO or somebody. But I'll send you something, Matt, and I greatly appreciate you sending in that beautiful KX125. Preston Petty, my dear friend Paul Stainard, is still looking for dealers. They want dealers, people throughout the country who can distribute their products. Be sure to go over to PrestonPettyProducts.com. Contact Paul. Maybe you will become a dealer. Here's the problem. It's brought to you by Motion Pro. We only have one this week because we've been running a lot of interviews, as you know, and I put up a post about getting me some questions, and not too many came in the past few days. But we got one, and it's pretty good. In fact, I often wondered this myself. Jordan? Joe, you were selling a huge amount of late 70s YZ parts recently. Yeah, last week and the week before. I unloaded a ton of stuff. Anyway, can you tell me what year aluminum YZ swing arm will fit my 77 YZ400? Yes, I can. The 1978, there it is, 1978, I think 79 also, YZ250 swing arm will fit your 1977 YZ400, which has a mild steel or chromoly swing arm on it. Anyway, a whole lot less flex. There's a picture of one right there. A whole lot less flex with the aluminum, a lot more rigidity, and I think you'd have a much more stable ride out of your YZ400 with an aluminum arm. This is a bolt-on swap. Very easy to do. I hope that answers your question. It answered mine because you know what? I've been kind of wondering that for a while myself. Motion Pro is still running a fabulous special. They've been helping us out with stuff all summer long. Here we are into the winter, 20% off everything across the board at Motion Pro. everything except custom cables. Go to their website, order whatever you need. When you check out, put in the code MP9135, MP9135, save 20% on everything at Motion Pro. Thank you, Chris Carter.
I'm Don Kadowski, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Don't go
50?
anywhere.
Hey, it's Joe Abadi for Vintage Motocross Q&A. When you're replacing a cylinder or a gasket or doing a top end on your bike, many times it's very, very difficult to get to the nuts that are on the base. And you want to be sure that you torque those evenly whenever you change a top end. Motion Pro has come up with this great tool. It's the torque adapter, okay? You can put any size wrench in there and you can tighten it up. On the back is a 3/8 drive. You can put your torque wrench in there, get the wrench on the nut that's on the base of your cylinder, and make sure everything is torqued evenly. This is a great tool. I have one in the shop. We use it all the time. It comes with instructions as well. Go see your local dealer or get to motionpro.com. And don't forget, go over to Vintage Motocross Q&A to get a 20% discount on all Motion Pro tools. In the What's It Worth segment tonight, we take a look at a 1985 KX 500. This bike was recently sold on Bring a Trailer. It was absolutely a fantastic machine. By the way, it's a great time to plug my good friend Mark Hildebrand's company. The plastic on this bike did come from Nightmare Racing. Anyway, it was sold in Massachusetts, and the bike went off around November 21st. This is, of course, the segment of the show where I encourage you, the viewers at home, to guess what you think this bike recently sold for. Now, the generic description of the bike from Bring a Trailer is not something I'm going to go through with you people, but because it just gives a description as if you're reading about it from the brochure. From what I could see, the bike is absolutely spectacular. The fit and finish of everything is just phenomenal. All the graphics are right on the bike. It has new plastic. According to the description, the bike was rebuilt from top to bottom. New crank bearings, new bearings throughout the cases. It does have a fresh bore, a brand new top end. You could see all the plastic and everything here is absolutely gorgeous on the bike. It does not have the stock pipe on it, but the pipe that is on it, and I'm not sure who the manufacturer is, it looks very trick, very works looking bike. Now, the one thing that I want to bring to your attention, and it's okay, but I just want to mention it just as something to give a little bit of a different facet to the show. In the description, they did say that the frame was powder coated. I've done this. You've done this. A lot of people do it throughout their restorations for many, many years now. I think I'd like to see more people painting frames than using powder coat. But that's neither here nor there. I'm talking about for a more authentic restoration. However, all the hardware was refinished on the bike. The tires have the correct tread on it, although they're not like the original tires that came on the bike. But everything else, fit, finish, is absolutely spectacular on this bike. And there's a big following for these big bore two strokes, and there have been for a while. Another thing is that mid 80s to mid 90s bike, there's a big market for that these days. That who sold a bike, it's absolutely phenomenal. You could tell a lot about the condition of a bike just looking at this guy's shop. Anyway, what do you think this bike recently sold for? $8,000? $9,000? This bike sold on November 21st for $10,900. $10,900. Whoever got closest without going over, I don't know if Susie will see it or Jordan will see it.
It looks like James LaPaz.
James LaPaz?
9,600.
Nobody closer than 9,600. James, if you are the closest and nobody gets any closer, I will get you I'll get you a gift. Boy, I'm giving away the house here tonight, huh? I'll get something for James LaPaz too. James, thanks for playing along. Thanks everybody for your best guess, $10,900. That segment of the show was brought to you by Full Circle Racing. Thank you, Tom McAllister. You've been running a great special for quite a while now, $775 for a brand new set of hoops, spokes, nipples, laced, and trued. All you need to do is send your hubs up to Tom McAllister. He will bead blast them, powder coat them, build you a whole new set of rims, black only at this point. This is for 18, 19, and 21 inch. $779. If you need a backing plate for your CZ, $179. If you don't want the logo on it, $169. Thank you, Tom McAllister and Full Circle Racing for all you do for Vintage Motocross Q&A and for Vintage Racing throughout the Northwest. One of the most generous sponsors out there for all of racing. Then again, VINTCO does a lot, and so does Motion Pro. That's for sure.
I don't see it, Don.
As promised, trivia returned tonight. I've got something pretty simple for you. The winner is going to receive this beautiful book, Compliments of Keith Geisner, Discovering 6 Days. And usually I ask a question, and this is a call-in segment of the show. So put your glasses on, take a look at this picture, and tell me who it is. There it is. Who's that guy in the picture? I can't give too many hints, otherwise you're going to get it too easy. He did go on to be a national champion. I'll say that. Dial your phone now, 925-234-8181. That's 925-234-8181. The lovely Susan is standing by waiting to take your call. Who's that guy in the picture? We're going to take a commercial break. Keep sharing the show. When we get back, hopefully we'll have a call in and we'll find out who tonight's trivia contest winner is. We'll be right back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A.
No, I turned that.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're back. Did you know? And by the way, for the What's It Worth segment, Jordan tells me that Alan Huey was closest at 10.8 on the 85 KX 500. Alan Huey, send me a message with your mailing address. I'll get you a nice gift, compliments of the show. The next segment is Did You Know? Jeff Kokoski. Jeff Kokoski is a big help on the show. Always sends in something great for us to put up either in the Did You Know segment or there's a couple of other ones that we do too. What is it? This one happens to be Did You Know? Oh, Ever Heard Of. Ever heard of? Did you know? Yeah. Anyway, Did You Know? And this is really interesting. The guy's name is Gordon Jennings. Have you folks out there ever heard of Gordon Jennings? I'm going to tell you what Jeff wrote about it. And he's a very interesting guy. You may not immediately recognize the name Gordon Jennings, but if you grew up around motorcycles in the 60s through the 80s, you no doubt have read one of his how-to articles. Jennings was born in 1931 in a small desert town of Brawley, California. Throughout his youth, he developed a natural love for all things mechanical, and eventually he would go on to race planes, cars, and bikes. Although he never went to college, he was pretty much a self-taught engineer, and developed a knack for boiling down complex mechanical problems right down into words that we all could understand. During his life, he wrote books and more than 500 magazine articles and technical papers about engineering principles behind cars and bikes. By the 1960s, Jennings was a technical editor of Cycle World magazine. He helped educate a whole generation of magazine readers that were eager to learn more about technical and performance tips. Eventually, he became the editor of Cycle, Road, and Track and Car and Driver magazine, and is loved for writing columns about these experiences. In his later years, he would go on to write a monthly column for Motorcyclist magazine, even publishing his email and phone number in the column so that readers could contact him directly. He was never shy at letting his readers and the manufacturers know exactly what he thought about any issue. It's been said that he had more to do with the objective road testing, credibility, and superb writing in motorcycle journalism than anyone else in the business. In 1973, as two-strokes were quickly becoming the rage of motorcycle world, Jennings authored a book, Two-Stroke Tuner's Handbook. No one had ever produced a better, more thorough understanding of the engineering of two-stroke engines. It became the Bible of two-stroke performance engine builders, racers, and do-it-yourself garage mechanics throughout the U.S. for vintage two-strokes enthusiasts, and it still is one of the best. And now you know who Gordon Jennings is. Thank you, Jeff Kokoski, our field correspondent. Susie, do we have a caller yet for the trivia contest?
No.
We still don't know who that is a picture of. Jordan, if you put the picture back up there, I might give a little hint again. The number you want to call is 925-234-8181. That's 925-234-8181. Name this guy in the picture. I will give you a bit of a hint now. He was definitely not a Maico rider throughout his career. He was more than a one-time champion, and he switched back and forth between two popular brands most of his career. 925-234-8181. He is also a very outspoken guy throughout his career and somewhat of a musician, although that is
you're gonna get it now.
debatable. What do we got next, Jordan?
VINTCO, who already has a full line of vintage parts, now has air shocks that are an exact duplicate of the original air shocks so popular in the late 70s. So whether you're looking to build a full racer or museum showpiece, these shocks will give you that incredible 70s look and improve your bike's performance. These new air shocks are fully rebuildable with VINTCO rebuild kits, and all shocks are hand assembled in the USA with all new components. Every component is brand new. Just like the originals, our air shocks are adjustable with 2 chambers, high and low pressure, giving you tremendous flexibility for settings of your bike suspension. The VINTCO air shocks come fully assembled and ready for installation. Just add air or nitrogen. The kits include the manual and spacers. Visit VINTCO.com to check out the air shocks and all that VINTCO has to offer to help you get back on track and to keep that ride going.
This Week in Motocross History is brought to you by Racer X. Be sure to see our ad in the back of each issue of Racer X. Thank you, Scott Wallenberg, for running our ad, and Davey Coombs, too. Been very, very generous with the ad in the back of Racer X, and it's also a wonderful publication. Do we have a winner yet? Hold on a second, Jordan. I think we got a winner in the trivia contest.
It's Bob Howard.
This is Joe Abadi. You are live on Vintage Motocross Q&A. Who am I speaking with?
Bob Howard.
Bob Howard. From that picture, we saw a guy riding a Maico. I think it was around 1968. His career really took off around 1974. Can you identify who that guy was in the picture?
Yeah, that's Jimmy Weinert, and it was a tough guess because remember he was like a pretty big guy. He doesn't look that big on that Maico. Maybe that's like earlier in his career. Or
Well, yeah. You know, it was around 1968 or 69 that Weinert was on that Maico. And no, Jimmy was not really one of the bigger guys, you know, like a Heikki Mikkola or even Brad was kind of stocky at that time, a well-built guy. But Jimmy was thin, and that is him on that bike, though, Jim and Jimmy Weinert. Hey, did you get it because I said he was somewhat of a musician?
Well, that there was the tip about switching brands, you know,
Yeah.
like actually I knew it when you said he had multiple national championships.
Yeah. Okay,
And
listen.
then the musician thing confirmed it.
Okay.
Yep.
We've got your address in Trent Run, Pennsylvania. So Susie's got that. We're going to get you a copy of Discovering 6 Days by Keith Geisner.
Hey, great.
All right.
Because I love all things 6 days.
You got it. Thank you for calling in, Bob Howard.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
By the way, our random share giveaway winner tonight is Mark Warren. Mark Warren, you are our random share giveaway winner tonight. You get this beautiful copy of the Trailblazers program. All righty. Where were we, Jordan? We were at This Week in MX History, brought to you by Racer X. 1956, A Star is Born. If he were still alive, Marty Motes would have turned 62 this week. He's best known as the first American to ever win the United States Grand Prix in Carlsbad, California. That happened in June of 1980, when he stunned the entire world and on a national television and in front of an audience by going 1-1 on a privateer LOP Yamaha. He was also one of the co-founders of the Carlsbad-based No Fear brand that was a giant in the action sports world in the 1990s throughout the 2000s. The Carlsbad win was fitting in that one day, and only one major win of his career came effectively in his hometown race. And Marty Motes just took my breath away there for a second when I thought about that. 1966. Who let the dogs out? Finally, happy birthday to Ron Lachine, whose birthday is actually today. Ron Lachine, the dogger himself, and the one of the all-time fastest, most stylish, and yes, controversial riders in the history of AMA Supercross and Motocross. Happy birthday, Ron. See you at Anaheim. 1975. This was interesting. Jammer designed this track. Jimmy Weiner designed this track. And it's Anaheim. It's called the Anaheim Era of Supercross. And it began on this night in 1975, this week, actually. And it had the running of something called the American Motocross Finals. The race was not part of any series and brought together some of America's top riders in the era for a race around the track built where the Anaheim Stadium is, where the California Angels would play baseball. Mike Goodwin Stadium Motocross Group was the promoter of the already successful Super Bowl of Motocross and at the Los Angeles Coliseum. The track was designed by Jimmy Weiner, and the race was a run what you brung open class. For instance, the eventual winner was Tony DeStefano of Team Suzuki. He rode a Works 250, while Gaston Galen Mosier finished second on a 450 Will Smith Maico two-stroke. The funny thing about that evening was, you know who had the fastest lap times on the track? Marty Smith on a 125 RC Honda. Anyway, he set the fastest lap time, but there you have it. A run what you brung race designed by Jam and Jimmy Weiner, and that happened this week in 1975.
Motocross struck America, coming from Europe like a lightning bolt, striking the hearts and minds of people all across the country and the world. Battles of intense racing and cutting rivalries with loyalty to brands and heroes intensified as years of blood, sweat, and dirt flew through the minds of those memories of champions as they wrestled their machines through almost impossible tracks. But where are those past champions? And where are their bikes? Terry Good, an ex-pro motocross racer, has made it his life mission to honor these heroes and the bikes they rode to stardom. We raced, we rode, we lived and breathed motocross. Go back in time and relive those moments, now preserved for the first time ever in the world's first museum dedicated to the history of motocross. Our new building is in the gate. Help us get a great start and you can be part of history. Go to internationalmotocrossmuseum.org and become a part of our team.
Get to make a tax-deductible donation to the International Motocross Museum. Terry Good has been moving motorcycles into the building. So if that tells you something, is that the museum is getting closer. I want to thank Terry and Cindy Good. Mike Secor is doing a phenomenal job of putting some renderings together of exactly what this building will look like in the near future. And Stuart Sobek and myself are on board with helping this project come to fruition. You're going to see it, the International Motocross Museum. The 2024 York Swap Meet. That is coming up on January 21st. That's a Sunday. The night before, if you could make it, is the Potomac Vintage Riders Year-End Banquet. Good food, good fun. They have a bar there, and I'm looking forward to being there this year again at the York Swap Meet. Also, Sue Fish will be joining me, as well as Martina Faltova-Cope. So me being flanked by these two beautiful women, it will be like a Tony Orlando and Dawn of vintage motocross. Be sure to get there. Rick Super Hunky Simon. A little sad news this week out of Maricopa, Arizona, or last week rather. Rick Super Hunky Simon passed away. One of the most prolific pens in all of journalism when it came to motocross. Often outspoken, sometimes disliked by some of the people in the industry, but you can count on Rick Super Hunky Simon for telling you the truth and or just the way he saw it. I did get a chance to do an interview with Rick Simon. There it is right there. It was about 18 months ago. Perhaps the longest interview I'd ever done. It was an hour and 45 minutes. You can catch that at Vintage Motocross Q&A, or you can watch it on YouTube as well. To the family of Rick Simon, to Cindy Simon, and to Rick's wife, our condolences from Vintage Motocross Q&A. May you rest in peace, Rick Simon. Thank you, Mike Chamberlain, for your support of Vintage Motocross Q&A. This is something we have. It's not a sponsor thing. It's for people who want to get behind us, put a couple of bucks our way to make sure we give you a quality program every week. And Mike Chamberlain was one of the first ones to step up to the plate and do that for us. We appreciate that, Mike and Joyce Chamberlain. I also want to thank, from the Moto Barn, George Ackerman. George Ackerman was nice enough to bring us out to the Moto Barn. That was back in November. I think it was early November. George Ackerman and Sharon Ackerman. Beautiful home, beautiful barn, beautiful museum. And we had a great time there. Thank you, George Ackerman, for supporting us here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. I have a call in to Tom Volan, and we are going to get him on the show to get an interview with him in the next couple of weeks, maybe as early as next Wednesday. I'm not sure. So keep in mind, I had Rex Staten on last week. Rex Staten, okay? He talked all about his career. He spent some time talking about his time at Harley Davidson and what that bike was like. I've had Don Kadalski on the show. He talked about his time at Harley Davidson and what the bike was like. Eventually, I will get Marty Tripes to come on the show. I'm just waiting for the right time. I asked him. He's a little bit shy about it. One of these days, I'll get him on, and then we'll have all those Harley guys on that are still alive. In the meantime, Tom Volan, we're going to get him on the show, and he's going to talk to us about his career as a Harley mechanic. I think he was a mechanic over at Yamaha too. So keep your eyes open and your ears open. We'll have an interview in the near future. Tom Volan, thanks to Keith Geisner for making that contact. Finish Line is brought to you by ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. That is Paul Parkinson Sr. Give me a minute here, Jordan, because I want to talk about a few things. Number one, just this past week, Paul Parkinson came out with this. It's a whole Kickstarter for the CR250, the entire Kickstarter. About a month or so ago, he came up with this, and this was just the knuckle that he had come up with. The knuckle is an absolute perfect replica of the knuckle for your CR250. Now he's making the whole Kickstarter, and he's making them for other bikes too. This is hot off the press. He doesn't even have a price on what the whole Kickstarter will be at. This is not one of Replica's Kickstarters right here. This is an original one, but they are making replica Kickstarters for the Honda and for other bikes as well. I could spend so much time talking about this amazing company because Paul Parkinson he's just blowing the lid off everything in vintage motocross week after week. You've seen this before, okay? Everybody needs one. They're almost impossible to find. This is the chain guide for your 1974-75 Honda CR250. You need one of these if you're restoring the bike. Impossible to find. Some people have paid $1,000 for one. ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com has them. The pickle, the replica pickle for your 1974-73 Honda CR250, $595. There's just, it's something every week. It's something every week from Paul Parkinson Sr. He's making transmission gears in the new year. And I've heard something about some top ends as well. Get over to ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. He will have a display set up at York. Okay, I'll be there. Paul Parkinson will be there. We're going to have a great time. ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. Check out their website. I get really excited when I talk about that guy. Boy, he is doing amazing stuff. Jordan is still selling Maico Michelin t-shirts, $24.99. Follow the link in the show description. Or if you want some vintage motocross Q&A shirts, we have those as well. $19.99 for your t-shirt. A couple of bucks more, get yourself a hoodie. They come in gray and white. If you want them in black like this, you can contact me and we'll get you one in black. Vintage Motocross Q&A sponsorship opportunities are still available. As you can see, many of our sponsors have been with us for 2, 3, going on 4 years now. Motion Pro, VINTCO, Full Circle Racing, and with good reason, they see results from the show. We still reach 20,000 people a week, and the interviews are off the hook. People are sharing those like crazy. So get a hold of me if you want to become a sponsor or just become a supporter of the show. Maybe your pockets aren't too deep, but you like the show. You want to get a word out there about your product. I'd be happy to make that happen. In the meantime, I think that about wraps it up for this edition of Vintage Motocross Q&A. Thank you, Jordan, Chelsea, Susie, and Felix. It's bedtime. Thanks for helping us put the show together. Hey, Gino! Thanks for watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll catch you next time. Gino! Where are you, Gino? There he is. Good boy.